Hello everybody, my name is whimreaper and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today we are building Rapunzel's tower in The Sims 4. I'm so excited for this build. It's a really long build, well, not long in terms of video length, but it took me a long time. And a lot of it was just because of how much detail I put into it, and that's because I'm a huge Rapunzel fan. I did not want to spare any detail on this build, even though we probably won't be spending that much time on inside of it on the Let's Play. But I loved making this. I had a great time. It was a challenge for sure, but I think it was worth it, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. This video itself has actually been quite the challenge, just with the editing software. I've probably mentioned this in a previous video, but I'm not sure what I've put up and what I haven't yet. But yeah, I've just been having trouble with Blender, and it's because it's quite advanced and I haven't actually really used editing software before. But I think I finally got this video to work, and I'm so happy to be able to share it with you guys. And yeah, what we're doing right now is we're figuring out the shape of the build. Now, it was a bit difficult because I wanted it to have a top-heavy look like in Tangled. It is kind of based off of that, but it's a lot more luxurious, I would say, than the Tangled Tower. The Tangled Tower looks more woodsy and more old, as if it's been kind of broken down, and this kind of does look a little bit broken down, but it also looks like it's been more maintained than the Tangled Tower. And part of that reason is because the Tangled Tower is very much based on this concept that Rapunzel is being held here against her will in this secretive little nook in the forest, and this is very much so reflecting that nook in the forest feel. But for the purposes of my Let's Play, Rapunzel isn't being held captive, which is the interesting twisted part of her tale, and it's going to kind of make her a more developed character, I think, and it will make her a little bit more in control, I guess, less of a damsel in distress for sure. But yeah, that's why this tower looks a little bit more maintained, is because Rapunzel is allowed to go outside whenever she wants. She just chooses not to. So Mother Gothel doesn't have to worry about locking her away and making it look abandoned. She can make it look nice, and she doesn't care if other people see Rapunzel or not, because she's not hiding her. But anyway, yeah, you can see that I put a little balcony out, also that was inspired by Tangled. I just thought that's so beautiful. I get a shot of the balcony at the end, I believe. But yeah, we're just adding some details, some friezes and floor trims, and I just went with kind of a minimalistic frieze look because it doesn't make sense for there to be these really ornate friezes on something that is, or used to probably use as like a watchtower. That would be more utilitarian, and then I'd picture Mother Gothel having come in and remodeled the whole thing on the inside. I am so excited for the interior too. It's very high end, but it's not too over the top. It's not garish. It's tasteful, but it's more plush looking. And that's because Rapunzel spends a lot of time in there as well as Mother Gothel, but also I just picture that being their fashion. And here I'm just putting in some trees to make it look more like it's in the middle of the woods rather than just off the road. I wish that there were some areas in The Sims 4 that didn't have direct roads leading to them. I know there are some lots, but none were big enough to make it kind of look more built in, I guess. Like, I could have put the tower, I guess, on that one lot in Brindleton Bay, but I wanted it to be in Windenburg, and I wanted there to be some area to work around it so it didn't just look like a random tower sticking out. And this entire area in Windenburg, is going to be all in this fairy tale style. I am building the fairy godmother's cottage quite close to here, so I think that will kind of fit in to this vibe, and also will create a community where these characters can interact, and you'll see them kind of in the background, which will be really cool. The windows took me a while to figure out on this build, and that's because they all look strange. Like, watchtowers don't usually have giant windows, but I wanted there to be light in Rapunzel's room. So that was difficult to get the right balance. A lot of the other floors, I think the middle two floors have small windows, and that's simply because it was more realistic, it looked better on the build, and it fit in, it made it look more unified. And also I put flowers up the entire structure, so I didn't want there to be a whole lot getting in the way of where I placed the flowers, although I did have to do a little bit of creative maneuvering, but not so much as to impede the build or make it look silly, I think. And I also don't film all of the flowers and all of the landscaping. Some of it I did at the end, but you'll see it in the screenshots, and honestly, you're not missing much. I didn't want to bore you with a super long build. So yeah, like, I'm just adding in those stained glass windows. I kind of changed my mind a couple times, but go back to them. Yeah, there you go. I'm putting them in all around. And yeah, I'm really excited for Rapunzel's character in the Let's Play, although she isn't the Rapunzel you might think you know. I'm still excited for her to be her weirder self, her more exaggerated and a little less goody-goody, I guess. She doesn't want to be around people in this Let's Play, as I kind of alluded to. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out, especially when some of the major events come up, like there's going to be a grand ball. Will she go? Will she not go? What happens if she does or does not go? That kind of thing. Another thing about Rapunzel that I kind of want to note is that I don't think she'd ever be blaming the Mother Gothel for not being able to go out or anything. Or maybe she would. Maybe she'd pretend that she's held captive, but really she's not. But I don't think she would really need to lie all that much, because people would just assume that this woman has been brainwashing her and tucking her away in a tower that she can't get out of. Although you'll see that in the build, I make it very purposefully open. Like, the stairs, there are no doors blocking any of the stairs. She could literally walk right down, leave, and that would be that. So I think that Rapunzel being like Mother Gothel's like protected child would be more of a rumor that maybe like Cinderella or like the fairy, no, not the fairy godmother. I think the fairy godmother knows everything that's going on. She wouldn't be spreading rumors, but maybe like Cinderella and those kinds of characters would be spreading around. I haven't created a whole lot of the background characters. Just today I created Cruella de Vil, but she's not going to be participating actively in the story. She's just going to be sort of a prop character to maybe fall back on for part of an episode, or just to be around so that it gives more of a out of this world kind of vibe, rather than just seeing like Johnny Zest in the background or Bella Goth and kind of getting taken out of the world. I do want this to be a very story oriented, very much alive, so I want the builds and the characters to all immerse the audience. And here I'm actually copying and the area behind, you can kind of see with the rocks, I'm just elevating the terrain, and then I'm going to shape that with kind of a dividing wall, but it's just made out of rocks. And I'm just kind of struggling to get the shape here, but in the end it looks pretty natural. It's just like, don't go zooming your camera in on the back of that exact spot, because we can't really smooth the terrain past the boundaries of the lot. But from the front and from the sides, it looks like it's meant to be there. It looks really natural, and that's what I was going for. Like, the entire yard is basically just this meadow glen that's surrounded by forest, so a lot of the landscaping is going to be very natural and very minimal because meadows don't have a whole lot of greenery. They have flowers and grass, so I just use terrain paint for that to avoid, first of all, lag, and second of all, to avoid it looking too cluttered or like I'm reusing the same flowers over and over, because I don't have all the packs, so I don't have that many choices of plant, especially ones that go in this type of a world. So yeah, that's kind of why I do that. Yeah, but here you can see me placing the flowers that are climbing up the side of the tower, and I do get a little bit carried away with this, but I think the more that I did, the more that I kind of liked it, because I just start off with this little section here, I'm pretty sure, and I'm kind of questioning whether I want to do the rest. That's why I kind of come back to it several times, because with a build like this, you never want to diminish it by adding too many things that don't need to be there. But for me, the flowers felt like they were a major part of the build. By the end, I was looking at the flowers going, wow, that makes the build come to life. If I hadn't have used those, I don't really know that it would be that appealing. But the flowers just make it look so magical, so fairy tale like. The only thing that I'm thinking right now that I could have added as a better detail are those braces. I'm not exactly sure what they're called, underneath of the more bulbous top floor of the tower, just to look like it had some support. But honestly, who looks at that anyway when you're playing? And it probably just would have faded into the build. Maybe I will add it later, I don't know. I kind of go back to these things over and over. But for the most part, I think that this build is complete and I'm very satisfied with it. Some of the characters in this LP just have, like, their house is just renovated, basically, to look a little less modern, from some of the houses in Windenburg. One of the examples is the Hatter. I feel like he can get away with it, though, because he's a Victorian character, more modern. So I just added in, like, some quirky colors, and it actually worked pretty well. I don't know that we'll be spending that much time in his house, but it is done. Like, I tried to do a little bit at least for all the characters, but most of them will be interacting outside of their home. But Rapunzel, I wanted to spend a lot of time on hers because, as I said, she's kind of a loner. She likes to stick to herself. That's just the way she is, and that's why I'm making this build so extravagant, is because we'll be, whenever we're playing with Rapunzel, it'll probably be in this build. Like, if she goes out, she's not going to be the main focus, probably. It'll probably be, like, Cinderella or someone like that who's the main focus. But, yeah, Rapunzel is going to be spending a lot of time here, and if we ever want to play with her, she'll be here. She might even have, like, a slumber party or something. Like, I could see her doing that. I just feel like the mix of modern and fantasy really caters to that, especially because Rapunzel's kind of a lazy girl, so a slumber party would probably be the only type of interaction she even enjoys. Like, as long as she can default onto falling asleep if she needs to, then she's okay in social situations. But yeah, I think that she'll be a funny character, and I actually see her and one particular character, I'm not going to say who, having a very interesting storyline together. And I feel like she knows the godmother. Like, I actually had her sim, because I had her max the painting skill, kind of also inspired by Tangled, but I had her sim make the portrait of the fairy godmother, which will be in the build. I don't know if I've released it at this point. It's filmed, I just haven't put it up. But yeah, she makes that portrait for the fairy godmother, so I feel like she'd be kind of close to the fairy godmother. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But yeah, I feel like she's not very close to a lot of princesses her age, or just, like, even girls her age, not necessarily princesses, or guys for that matter. I feel like she doesn't know any guys. And maybe that's part of her character as well. Maybe she doesn't like guys. Maybe She's just wanting to sleep all day. I kind of see that as being her personality. She doesn't care about romance whatsoever. But anyway, yeah, so this is Rapunzel's room. I went for that really, really bright purpley pink, but I kind of tone it down with lighter pink and white accents, as well as some wood just to kind of keep with the older feel of the tower. If everything was like bright white, it would feel more French, I would think, like Rococo, where I didn't want it to be quite Rococo, but I wanted it to be extravagant and still colorful without being, yeah, too over the top. Um, yeah, I put a full living quarter in Rapunzel's room. I give her kind of like a living room book nook, which is what I'm making now, as well as obviously a bed, a bathroom without a shower or bath, though it's just a toilet, and a kitchenette. So she does not have to leave her room for days if she doesn't want to. I guess she'd stink a little, but I don't know if she's sleeping the whole time. Why would she care? She's a little bit of a cross between Rapunzel and Sleeping Beauty now that I think of it. Because I don't think I'm going to add Sleeping Beauty. I mean, her whole character is that she sleeps and then she gets woken up. That's literally it. I don't really know how to twist that. So, yeah, maybe she kind of displays a little bit of Sleeping Beauty as well, but like Sleeping Beauty by choice, not by force. So, yeah, and I loved using the movie hangout stuff in here. It looks super eclectic and floral and just like sweet, I guess. But yeah, because a lot of the other colorful items or pastel items are too over the top, I think. Like, I wanted it to be quite over the top, but not so over the top that it's distasteful, like I kind of said before. I feel like Mother Gothel would pick out all this stuff, and she's old. Like, I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna go with the whole like fountain of youth idea with Rapunzel. But yeah, Mother Gothel's pretty old. I just say that she's tasteful for her age or whatever. I had a trouble with this kitchenette being on a diagonal, let me tell you that. Eventually I figure it out and I realize there's not any counter space kind of at the last minute and then have to change everything around. But yeah, don't worry. I think the way that it turns out looks good. And I put the bathroom in kind of beside the kitchenette. So that taking up room also helps the layout a little bit. But I kind of regret putting in the bathroom, but at the same time it just makes so much sense for the story of Rapunzel, like kind of being a loner, that she would want to have her own toilet, so she doesn't have to walk down to Mother Gothel's level in order to use the washroom, especially like in the middle of the night. Like, honestly, I don't think it matters if you're lazy or not. You don't want to walk down 3 flights of stairs to go to the bathroom, and like the bathrooms would not fit on the other 2 floors, I'm pretty sure. I could try to squeeze one in like I did here, but like I wanted the other 2 levels to feel like they actually had a purpose rather than just like, oh, there's a bathroom on level 2, that kind of thing. I tried really hard to fit in a shower or a bath and it didn't work. And I did test this bathroom, just so you guys know. I didn't just shove it in here and then hope that it works. I tested it. So if you download this tower, you don't have to worry about them not being able to reach the sink or the toilet. The mirror being raised up automatically won't work, so I'm sorry about that, but I don't think it matters. There are mirrors everywhere else in the house, and I think she even has another one over by that painting. Oh yeah, and I wanted that painting to not be so sweet and stereotypical. I was debating between the sunny one and this one, but I think Rapunzel is a little bit more down to earth in this Let's Play. She would want more of a representative painting than of just like a happy cutesy one. I think that she's kind of sad, honestly. I think like not in a tragic way or anything. I feel like she's just kind of a gloomy sim, not enough to get the gloomy trait, but just like she doesn't really know what she's missing out on. Maybe she wants something more, but she doesn't know what it is, or maybe she's just perfectly content being sleepy. I don't know. I haven't entirely developed the characters yet, as you can tell by the way that I'm talking, I'm sure. But, like, good idea of what I'm going to do with them. I'm not stabbing in the dark trying to justify why characters are like they are. They're designed like that for a reason. It's just specifics I haven't figured out. And I wanted the balcony to be quite sparse, but have a little painting area out there. I feel like she would just sit out there sometimes, just to enjoy the nature without having to actually leave the tower. And I just put one chair at the chess table because she's a loner, so she's only gonna ever practice by herself, really. Maybe she'd play with Mother Gothel once in a while, but I kind of feel like she's one of those daughters, like a teenager who would like lock herself in her bedroom and never leave, that kind of thing. And this is Mother Gothel's room, the ground floor level, so she doesn't have to go very far at all to get to the necessities, lucky her. I gave her this purple and red theme because I feel like purple can look really dark, but also it doesn't necessarily mean evil, whereas I figure green or red by itself looks evil. So I mixed the purple and the red to give the illusion that she could be this sort of bad guy, but I don't think she is that bad of a person, to be honest. I think that she really does love Rapunzel, not Entangled. Let me be clear about that. I have very strong opinions about her Entangled. But in this Let's Play, I think she loves Rapunzel. I think that maybe she had bad intentions at first, but she doesn't anymore. I think that, yeah, she's going to be an interesting character, but she's not going to be a main focus. She's kind of here. I think Rapunzel's a teenager, and I think that's the main reason she's here, but I couldn't be sure. I might be getting Rapunzel and Odette mixed up. I'm almost certain Odette is a teenager, which, I'm not entirely sure why I did that. I might age her up, but we'll see. Because I think all of the princes would be young adults, but I guess if there are enough princesses who are, teenagers, I'll make a teen prince as well, because then they're not just competing for the one prince. But yeah, obviously we're not only focusing on princes and princesses, since the Mad Hatter is involved, and Odette isn't actually royalty, and neither is Odile, who is the other character. Those are Swan Lake characters, in case you don't know. But yeah. Anyway, like, enough about that. Sorry. It will be probably a little bit until I start doing the Let's Play, simply because I've kind of got a backlog of videos to put out for you guys. But, once I get those all done, it'll be very shortly that we'll be starting the Let's Play. Like, my estimation is that the Let's Play will kind of come out maybe once or twice a week, and it will probably start sometime in mid-July. That's my guess. And I know that sounds like it's a long time off, but it's just like I said, like, I have quite a few videos to get out to you guys. I'm going to be doing stuff other than the fairy tale LP in my free time. I'm starting uni in July, so I'm going to have quite a few things to figure out before I can get this up. But yeah, I'm putting a television in Mother Gothel's room, as well as a fireplace, as you just saw. I figure, like I've probably said this a million times, but televisions are going to be a big thing in this LP, because it makes things a lot less private, so then if you do something, people know about it. And I feel like the fairy godmother is going to play into that quite a bit, where she's going to make it unhappen kind of thing, where, like, your embarrassment is a bigger deal. And I'm just putting in some bins and a range hood? Yeah, a range hood, that's what they're called. And just some counters. I love the vampire counters. Oh, they're so gorgeous. I wish I could use them in every build, but obviously they don't match every build. Which is probably good, I guess. It would get boring eventually, but I just love the open end, left end counter or cabinet, sorry, that you could have seen there. It just, it looks really detailed, but not too cluttered. Yeah, I think I end up putting curtains in here, but I try to leave the light coming in because there's already so little of it, just because it's stained glass, and, in the game, stained glass windows hardly give off any light at all, as well, like in real life, they don't give off that much light either, but I feel like, especially in the game, they don't give off as much light as they should, which is really unfortunate. And I'm placing columns to kind of look like the tower is more supported rather than just leaning on its outer walls, which wouldn't have been a thing for around this time that the tower would be used. And this area, I believe, is a study. And no, I'm sorry, it's switching around too much. This area is the music room, I believe, where we have the piano. Yes, it is. And then the next level is a study. So I really wanted a piano because I just felt like it would be, honestly, it's just goals for me to like play piano in general, but also I love the sound of piano echoing through large spaces, and echoing through a tower just seems so epic. Like, I almost went with an organ, but then I felt that was a little too creepy. I thought they would keep it a little bit more classy and more accessible by just having a regular piano. And I'm just putting in very sparse decorations on these levels, mostly because they probably won't spend that much time there. They're probably going to spend most of the time in the bedrooms. Those are more common areas as well, with the dining tables and such. But I did want them to still look put together and intentional, and not just kind of throw a bunch of stuff in and just call it good. And I am putting some cracks in here because it would be old even by this time in the Let's Play. Like, this tower I would imagine being really old, and then they've just kind of found it and salvaged it and turned it into their own. Also, I kind of picture the vampires' portraits, those to be like Mother Gothel's relatives, maybe, or maybe just her friends from a long time ago, if she is in fact immortal. Still haven't decided. It's not honestly that important, which sounds strange because it's like, it doesn't matter if she's immortal or not. But like I said, she's kind of a side character, and I haven't completely figured out every detail. Some of the details we're going to figure out together during the Let's Play, which I'm excited for, and yeah, I hope that you guys will stay tuned for most of it. I know I'm a new channel, so I'll do recaps every episode for people who don't know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on in this video, I apologize. I realize I didn't really introduce the whole Twisted Tales concept or anything. But basically, I'm doing a fairy tale LP called Twisted Tales, where a bunch of different fairy tale characters interact together and make a story, just in case you didn't know. And I've been working on the fairy godmother's cottage, as well as just some create-a-sim and lore stuff, as well as other builds probably coming up. But it's not necessary to know that for this build, obviously. I'm talking about the LP a lot, and I'm sorry about that, but I hope you enjoy the build anyway. I really wanted this to have fairy tale lighting, and like, as in like that glow where it's just like kind of effervescent, like you don't really know where it's coming from. It doesn't really make sense why it's so well lit. So I tried to use these little get to work lamps that aren't really that noticeable, as well as just in the shrubbery later I put little garden lanterns around to light up the foliage without them being overly noticeable, so it kind of looks like the whole place is like a halo of light, which is really interesting. And I feel like that would partially be due to like lightning bugs and stuff, but also just in fairy tales, nice people give off like glowing light, and I feel like that would come partially from Rapunzel and actually partially from Mother Gothel in this particular Let's Play. Unfortunately, the original hair I used for Mother Gothel completely glitched out. It's so sad. I don't even remember what it was called, but yeah, with the Island Living update, it made her look like she had black dots all over her, and it was not a good look. So I gave her a bun instead, which was a little bit of a shame, but it still matches her quite well. And I love the lighting on this tower in the morning. It's gorgeous. I'm kind of glad that I built for a majority of the time with this lighting, and yeah, it just looks great. I'm very, very happy with this build, as I've already said. It's on the gallery under hashtag whimreaper or hashtag Rapunzel or hashtag tower, hashtag Rapunzel's tower. But anyway, if you go onto my gallery ID, which is just whimreaper, then you should be able to find it quite easily, maybe under newest even. It should be like probably, I'm guessing, like the 5th one by this time that I release this. But yeah, we are almost done, and I'm just so grateful that you could join me. We're gonna get right into the screenshots. Thank you for watching, and please join me again. Please stay updated, and I'll have more stuff for you guys later. Goodbye!